Welcome back to Week 8 on the What Do They Know podcast. This week, the guys discuss big wins from the Cardinals and the Commanders, a surprising loss for Baltimore, and go over a shakeup with their power rankings. But hey, what do they know?
What do they know? Well, we are about to find out what's going on, everybody. Welcome to Week 8 on the What Do They Know podcast. Nick and Jeff here with you. Not in the best moods.
Well, I kind of have accepted it a while ago. Obviously, you have the Yankees in the World Series, so it's been a little rough for you, my guy.
It was a rough weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been there.
One just excruciatingly brutal loss for the Yanks Friday, and then they followed it up with an egg on a dud on Saturday.
Right
now they're down 2-0.
Hey, it's only home field.
Yeah, heading into Yankee Stadium for hopefully 3 games. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I will be going to Game 5 on Wednesday as long as there is a Game 5.
Right.
Was able to score a sweet deal on some tickets. So I'm pumped. I'm like, that's the one thing I'm still stoked about is I just hope that the game is like meaningful and
right.
They have some stuff going on. So if they can squeak out a win Monday, who knows about Tuesday, and then it'll be a series at least still on Wednesday for Game 5. But
perfect.
2 L's Friday, Saturday, and then my football season is officially over. I'm not even going to talk about them because they're not worth discussing. If it was any other 2-6 team, we wouldn't even be bringing them up.
Right.
So I'm done talking about them.
Okay, that's fine. As long as you don't bring up the Saints, I won't bring up the Jets.
I'm done with them.
We're good on the front.
I'm done. I just can't.
Perfect.
All right, so let's talk about some good stuff or some exciting stuff.
Perfect. I'm on board.
I'm going to kick us off because I'm pretty pumped about this top story.
Mm-hmm.
At least gives us something to
positive,
something to look forward to for the rest of the season, hopefully.
Okay.
And that's the first place Arizona Cardinals.
First place Arizona. Who would have thought halfway through the year, basically, that Arizona Cardinals would be in first place? Weren't they like 2-4?
They were 2-4. They've won 2 in a row. A tough physical Monday night matchup against the Chargers on a walk-off field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then today, same sort of thing. It was a little bit more high scoring like they're used to, but they were able to knock off Miami.
Right.
Not put a damper on Tua's return.
Mm-hmm.
Another walk-off field goal. I think the final score was 28-27.
Yep.
As time expired, so 2 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So they're 4-4, and by virtue of the tiebreaker, they're in first place.
Yeah, I mean, let me just jump in real quick. Like with you mentioned Tua's return, and that Miami team is a different team with Tua in there. That is a good team that they just beat in Miami. Don't let that record fool you with Miami at 2-5 now. But the Cardinals beating the Miami Dolphins in Miami is kind of a statement win for me.
Yep.
So. I'm all aboard with the Cardinals right now. 4-4 at this juncture, when no one really had expectations for you at this point of the season. You're sitting pretty if you're Arizona.
Yeah, I'm pumped about them. I mean, Trey McBride had a phenomenal game today. 9 catches, 124 yards. Kyler, 26 of 36, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he had some rushing yards in there. I didn't throw that in there, but.
Right.
James Conner did his thing. He scored a rushing touchdown. Just a really great win. So now, like I said, sitting at 4-4, and they have the Bears coming into town next week.
Right. He just fumbled the ball, and I was wondering who retrieved that. But no, Dallas got on top of it. To me, we always talking about how the running back kind of dictates how the offense gets going. To me, I feel like Marvin Harrison is the indicator of how that offense is flowing.
I should have wrote his set. I should have. I'm going to look it up because I know I think he had like
6 receptions, 100+ yards, a TD. But I feel like whenever he struggles, that whole offense in general struggles. And obviously, we had that hiccup after week 1 where he didn't really get any action out of Kyler, and Kyler was like, "This is not my job." Well, actually, it is your job.
It is actually your job to get your best player the ball.
Yeah. Right. So. To me, he should be the focal point moving forward. Obviously, they gave him the ball, especially during that last drive.
A huge catch, too.
Yeah, huge catches. Drive. Yep. And set him up for the win. So that's definitely the way I would go if I'm Arizona. That's definitely what I would be looking at in the tape, and definitely developing that chemistry between Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, 6 for 111 yards and a touchdown. So a great game for Marvin as well.
Yeah, I actually benched him in a couple leagues because Miami has had number one.
Well, and they got Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. So it was definitely, if you can do that against that Miami passing defense and Jalen Ramsey, you're going to do something special in this league.
Yep, I agree. Yep. And then my second top story is the Washington Commanders. 6-2, first place in the NFC East. They have one game on Philadelphia, and what a phenomenal win. It looked like it was going to be a brutal loss. They were up 12-0 at one point.
Right.
Credit to the Bears. They came back and had a couple really good drives. They ended up scoring with roughly 20 to 30 seconds left in the game. Went up 15-12. Looked like they were going to have a kind of a signature win for Caleb Williams, a nice comeback win.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be the exact opposite and a signature career moment thus far for Jaden Daniels. Obviously, the 50 to 60-ish yard Hail Mary that ended up getting deflected and then right into the arms of, I believe it was Noah Brown. So the Bears did not handle the Hail Mary defense exactly the way you're supposed to, and that's why they say knock it down. They tried to knock it down, but they just happened to knock it right into the arms of the Washington player. So big win for them.
Yeah.
The Commanders are 6-2.
Yeah,
they got to be arguably the best story in the league right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just with the Cardinals, no one expected the Commanders to be where they are halfway through the year. Obviously, going into the season, it's always viewed as a 2-horse race, as the Eagles and the Cowboys try to take hold of that division. But the Commanders with Jaden Daniels have been phenomenal. Obviously, going into the season, we love that Cliff Kingsbury coaching signing. I personally can never overstate it enough with Cliff being there as the offensive coordinator for Jaden Daniels. But to me, I want to shout out these defenses first, because when we came into this game, we were hyped up. We thought it was going to be a Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels type of game. But it came down to the defense. The defenses knew what they needed to do. And even though they were rookie QBs, they've taken the lead by storm, and the defenses showed up for these teams and gave them the opportunity for Caleb Williams to drive down and get that potential game-winning touchdown, and then all of a sudden gave Jaden Daniels obviously the Hail Mary opportunity. So to me, these two teams are looking complete more and more each week, instead of just being offensive driven with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I think for me, in comparison to the two defenses, the Bears specifically, just because Caleb Williams, he's been a little inconsistent. The offense as a whole has been inconsistent.
Right.
But Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, you could argue, has had, one of, if not the best offense in the league.
They're the Houston Texans of last year.
Yeah, exactly right. And so for the Bears defense to hold them up until that Hail Mary to 12 points, I think was a really, really impressive job. So to your point, both of these defenses are playing really complementary to their up and coming offenses.
Yeah, and this is huge steps for the Commanders, especially if they have any sort of playoff hopes, because just a few weeks ago when you played the Bengals, they didn't force the Bengals to punt at all.
Yeah. So
this is a huge step in the right direction for the Commanders overall. And for me, if I'm a Commanders fan, I'm glowing green right now. This is the way to go, and I'm hyped up for the rest of the year if I was them.
Yep, agreed.
So for me, I'm going with the other side for right now. I'm going to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer.
Okay.
The Ravens defense.
Yeah.
So obviously I had the Ravens in my Super Bowl with the Lions. That was my preseason pick. But the Ravens defense, man, they are just not the Ravens defense that we've come to know and fear in any aspect. Right now they're allowing the most passing yards in the league. Obviously we saw that with Jameis Winston definitely carving them up and almost giving the game winning, game sealing TD. He did. To Cedric Tillman. Shout out to Cedric Tillman, by the way.
Yeah.
Taking the opportunity after Amari Cooper took off. So for me, the Ravens defense I don't even know where to begin because Kyle Hamilton is still there. They still have a lot of.
Did you see the interception that he dropped?
He dropped a easy
game-winning, game-sealing interception, and I want to say it was like the next play, or something. Very shortly after that is when Jameis threw the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
in his hands, like nobody around him, like no excuse to drop the ball.
Was like he was the receiver, and it was like right at him.
Yeah,
tailor made, and that's just what sums up what the Ravens defense is facing this year. They've allowed 23 points in all but one game this year, and that's just not familiar with what we've come to know with this Ravens defense. Obviously, we always think about that AFC North being defensive driven.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been there this year for the Ravens defense. So if they have an Achilles heel, it's going to be their defense, and it's going to be up to Lamar Jackson to keep up with whatever their defense allows. And that becomes a concern because I'm not sure if they have, I guess, enough weaponry there in the wide receiver room to really keep up with the high octane offenses.
They definitely don't because I mean, you talk about. Did you see the drop that Rashad Bateman had today?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bomb right in his lap for a touch. Would have been a touchdown.
Yeah.
And the dude just like blatantly dropped it.
Yep.
I know that's an issue with him as a whole. But, I mean, you take away Zay Flowers, and I feel like for the most part, the like Lamar's got nothing.
Yeah, Mark Andrews is taking a step back. Obviously, he's up there in age. Derrick Henry, obviously, how long can you ride him for? Obviously, he's been doing a phenomenal job, and he's a future Hall of Famer and whatnot. But I mean, he has a lot of tread in those tires, and you kind of want to leave him a little fresh, I guess, towards the end of the year, especially during playoff season. But I mean, at this point, I feel like you don't really have much of a choice but to lean on Derrick Henry and solve your problems later type of thing.
So let me ask you this, and I'm going to totally put you on the spot here.
Okay.
Ooh. So we've seen, obviously, Adams to New York. I'm not going to say their name. I'm done saying their name.
To that one New York team.
I'm done with them. Amari Cooper to the Bills. Now DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Who can Baltimore go get? Because they got to get somebody, right? I mean, it sounds like Cooper Kupp is no longer available after Thursday.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think, and that's why I said I'm going to put you on the spot because I don't even have an answer.
Right.
I just feel like there's got to be somebody out there, a wide receiver out there, who their team is just no longer in it, that they can go get to shore up the wide receiver, or not even shore up, just provide a little bit of assistance,
right,
to.
I'd probably look towards Miami, to be honest with you, and see if Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle or really either one of those guys are.
Golly, can you imagine Tyreek Hill with Lamar?
Yep, absolutely.
Holy
that would be quite a tandem there.
Yes,
but yeah, I mean, the only reason they come to my head is because I was looking at potential wide receiver trades back when before Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper were traded. So, and that was a team that got brought up, but with Tua now back, it becomes a little bit of a crapshoot if they're going to be selling it at that point. But I mean, with the loss today with the Cardinals, that puts them at 2-5 or 2-6 or whatever it is, and it becomes kind of like a deep hole, especially with Buffalo playing the way they are. And that AFC division or conference in general is I think you're going to have to win at least probably 9 to 10 games to get in. So that's a tall task for Miami to kind of win out the rest of the year.
Yep.
So very little margin for error. So that's where I would go.
Okay, I like it.
And then for my second story, you brought up Cooper Kupp, and I mean, it's the Rams. The Rams are kind of back in it. They're only half a game behind the Cardinals and the Seahawks right now. And they're at 3-4, potentially the 49ers, depending on this game. But yeah, with Puka and Cooper Kupp now back and healthy, that's a different.
It's huge.
That's a different team right there.
It's huge, and shame on me. I picked the Vikings as my lock this week over the Rams, and I had zero idea that both of those guys were coming back.
Right.
I really had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that they won on Thursday, and obviously saw that Puka played and Cooper Kupp played, I'm like, oh well, no freaking kidding.
Right.
So I shot myself in the foot there, not really paying attention. But yeah, it makes a massive difference. And I mean, the Rams were 3-6 last year, and then ended up making the playoffs.
Right.
So they are.
This is an odd position for them.
Exactly. Yeah. And so 3-6, they're only 3-4.
Yeah.
So they're nowhere near out of it. Sean McVay has every right to feel like they still have a chance.
Absolutely.
And every right to say that Cooper Kupp is not going anywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't be selling.
I mean, they need to try and squeeze every little last bit of juice out of Matthew Stafford that they can.
Yep.
And they can't do that without those two guys.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, Kyron Williams has been phenomenal, even with the absence of those guys. But with those guys, it opens them up so much more for that running game and for even the passing game. Kyron Williams had 23 attempts for 97 yards today and 5 receptions for 19 and a touchdown. Obviously, Puka had 7 receptions for 106, and Cooper Kupp had 5 for 51 and 1 TD. Like that's spreading the ball to your third playmakers right there. That offense has been together long enough that they know their roles and they know the concepts of how the game dictates what's going to happen. And to me, Puka and Cooper Kupp have like an understanding of one another. Like 1 week it's going to be you, 1 week it's going to be me, and they don't let each other down type of thing. They're not jealous of each other. They're not competing against each other for touches or anything. They understand the job that needs to be done. So for me, the Rams are a sneaky team.
Agreed.
So that's where my top starter right now.
Yeah, and I think we both had them finishing. Do we both have them in the playoffs this year? I'm pretty positive that we both have them as a wild card team.
I'd have to look all the way back.
Let me see.
I had the Rams in as my 6th seed.
And I had the Rams in as my 6th seed.
There you go.
So, I mean, started out us looking like a couple schmucks.
Yeah.
What else is new?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I don't. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they did the same thing they did last year and went on another run.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Overreactions. I'll keep with the theme and I'll kick us off.
Okay.
So my first reaction, being that the Buffalo Bills are the biggest competition to the Chiefs in the AFC. Other teams to think about that I wrote down: Houston, the aforementioned Baltimore Ravens, the Steelers, and believe it or not, I wrote down the Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
Those are, in my opinion, the 4 biggest. Obviously, besides the Bills, so 5 total.
Right.
Biggest question marks.
Yeah, I mean Buffalo. I look at that roster, I feel like that's the most complete out of all of them, to be honest with you. Especially with that Amari Cooper, even though he only had a reception.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't do anything today.
Yeah, even though he only had a reception today, it elevates. We talked about it last week. It elevates that offense to the next level. It allows Khalil Shakir to get the 9 receptions he got today.
Over 100 yards.
Yeah. Keon Coleman to get the receptions and the TD that he got today.
Side note, is starting to develop into something.
Yeah.
He's going to be a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what happens when you have a number 1 wide receiver already established, and Keon Coleman guts down in the cornerback chart right there, and he allows him to flourish a little bit more. So,
I hope that stands.
I really hope it doesn't.
I hope that
because I'm playing against a guy who
was such a long touch. Oh, it looks like it's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back holding.
Son of a gun. That was like a 70-yard Deebo Samuel touchdown that just got called back.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
I could have really used that, Jeff.
I could not have. Nope.
I could not have. All right, let's see. Let's see if it's holding.
Oh no,
that's not holding.
That's clearly holding.
That's He's mugging him.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, goodness.
That's fine.
Wow, where were we? I forgot.
Nice job, Salbert.
Oh yeah, Buffalo. Yeah. Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman. Yeah.
Yep.
Keon Coleman was going to be
James
a problem.
Cook balled out today
James
too.
Cook. Yeah. To me, Buffalo has it figured out. It's just going to be about getting over the jitters of playing Kansas City again in the playoffs. If it comes down to that, that's going to be their nightmare. That's going to be their speed bump. That's going to be their mountain, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be their mental, I guess, challenge to get through, because they've lost to them 3 times now in the playoffs. It's definitely going to be in their head. It's just going to be about finally getting over that hump.
Yeah, I think, when I look at these other teams I just wrote down, Houston, I would say right now is probably my other choice. The one question mark I tried to find information on, I'm still waiting to hear, is the outcome of the Stephon Diggs injury.
Right.
Because now if they're down Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, obviously it was a non-contact knee injury today with him. So
yeah, that's always scary.
He was able to walk off.
Yeah.
But
you never know.
You never know. So that's probably the biggest question mark I have around Houston. Joe Mixon, I'll say it again. I've said it the last 3 weeks. He's an absolute game changer for that team.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way around it. The games that he's having, the statistics that he's putting up,
right,
is you can't argue what a difference he's made after coming back from injury. So I really like Houston. Baltimore, we've already talked about with their questions around their defense and their wide receivers.
right.
The Steelers, I think could potentially develop if last week is any sign of what's to come with them, with Russell Wilson and the development of a pass game to couple with that defense. I think could be good.
Should we backtrack on Russell? Because we bashed him last week.
Yeah, I mean, we need to. And I even said it. I said, thank you essentially for starting him over Justin Fields.
Right.
And I prefaced it with, in 3 hours, who knows? Like, I could be totally wrong.
Right.
And I was totally wrong because
like we were watching the game into the second quarter, and then I took off, and then all of a sudden
all hell broke loose.
Everything blew out of proportion, especially after halftime. Yeah. So I didn't see the game after that, but I guess we got to apologize to Russell Wilson because apparently Mike Tomlin knows how to develop a quarterback. So I have no idea.
He clearly had a plan for what he wanted his offense to look like,
right?
And that was going to be handled with Russ and not Justin Fields,
right?
So again, credit to him. Denver, I really like. I just think it's a year early.
Yeah,
I think that in the next year or two. Like Denver's going to be the team this offseason that goes and makes a huge acquisition or takes advantage of the rookie contract. I mean, you saw Buffalo do it with Stephon Diggs. You saw Houston do it with Stephon Diggs, ironically enough.
Yeah.
So I think that Denver's just a year too early. So for me, it would either be Buffalo or Houston right now.
Yeah, Denver needs another weapon. They have Cortland Sutton there, and that's a great number one to have.
They traded Jerry Jeudy. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's not lighting the world on fire in Cleveland, but he's better than your number 2 now.
Right. I mean, it might be locker room issues because I feel like Jerry Jeudy kind of rat himself out of Dallas back in the day. So maybe it could be that. But yeah, right now they're definitely splitting the ball around. Jaleel McLaughlin there in the backfield with Javonte Williams is a good 1-2 punch. It's serviceable, definitely.
Denver's defense is so good.
Yeah, and Denver's defense is just underrated, I feel like. No one really talks about the Denver defense, but we do here. We definitely give them props.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, without him, Troutman, and then Little Jordan Humphrey, whatever his name is, I can't remember. Former Saint Lil
LIL apostrophe
Jordan Humphrey. Yep.
apostrophe Jordan.
If that's going to be what you're rolling into the playoffs or late into the season trying to make the playoffs, it's going to bring up question marks, and I feel like valid ones. So, but yeah, a year too early probably.
Okay. And then my second one is that the winner of Detroit and Green Bay next week will win the NFC North.
Okay. Is this their first meeting? Or
it is.
Okay.
It is.
So I'll have another one, but I'll go overreaction on that one. They have one more meeting. I'd have to look at both of their schedules, see where they're going. But I mean, they I mean that's not an easy division to win right now. Obviously, Chicago's in last, but they're 4-3, and they just put up a really competitive game against the Commanders. I'd hold off on claiming any winnings right now, but obviously that division is hot right now. It's looking unstoppable right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go there yet with that, just because it's looking like Jordan Love could potentially may or may not play next week.
Yeah, suffered a groin injury.
So I'll really be curious to see what that does. Obviously, that would really change the whole complexion of the matchup.
Yeah,
if he doesn't play. But having said that, I do think that whoever wins this game is going to be in a great spot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's only advantageous, but the Vikings are still around. And then, like I said, Chicago's at 4-3, so they're not a sneeze, I guess. So, but yeah, well.
Oh, Debo.
I don't know. I personally, I feel like the Lions are still going to win the division regardless of what happens.
I do too.
So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay, what do you got for us?
So for me, I got. It's time to move on from Anthony Richardson.
Dude,
I'm done. Even though
he's so bad.
Yeah, even though he's doesn't even have a full season of games underneath him. I'm sorry, but 10 for 32, 175 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception.
You know what that is? That's like you and I, who no, listen.
Oh no!
Like or me, because you don't play golf, but that's like me on the golf course, and I'm gonna shoot like 100. Right, I'm gonna tear up the course, but on the 15th hole, I'm gonna have like a chip in birdie.
Woo!
That's gonna give me just that little bit that I need to keep me coming back. That's what Anthony Richardson does for you. He's horrible, he's dreadful, but he gives you that one little flash that makes you think that he could potentially turn out. I mean, at one point he was 2 for 11, but had a 69-yard touchdown.
Yeah, he was like 2 for 13 when I looked it up.
It was horrible.
It was that touchdown of Josh Downs. Yep.
He's very frustrating because we've talked about what an athletic freak he is, and how the potential, what he could develop into.
Right.
But dude, he just shows that he's not a thrower of the football right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he needs time to develop, but it's time to develop him off the field, to be honest with you. And they say you can only develop on the field. No, if this is what you're going to get on the field, I'm sorry, but you're not going to win too many football games if your quarterback's going 10 for 32.
Yeah, but what's the answer though? And I don't know that I know that, because if it's his accuracy, right? If we're just going to say he's just not accurate, that's what everybody says. He's just not an accurate thrower. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that in practice. You're not going to get that going up against the practice squad or your own defense in walkthroughs, right? You're going to get that from live game action. So I just don't know. Like I'm in complete agreement with you that he needs to be done in Indianapolis, but at the same time, does that like how you can't have one without the other? Like you either gotta just stick it out, suck it up, and let him be disastrous and let him get those and let him get those reps and learn, or you got to cut your losses. Right, is the way that I look at it.
Yeah, the thing with me is like the 10 for 32 is just like abysmal. It's astonishing to me. I'm sorry, but it's crazy to me.
Yeah. What is that? Like, is that like a 30 completion percentage? Like, what is that? 10 for 33, 34%, something like that?
Yeah, somewhere in the 30s. Yeah, absolutely.
It's horrible.
That's rough. To me, if there was like some sort of gradual improvement, I'll be like, yeah, keep tossing them out there. Keep tossing them. 10 for 32, that's not improvement. That's to me, he's been worse than I feel like that he started off last year. And he wasn't very good to passing the ball last year either. So it's being like a consistent problem. It's not even being consistently inconsistent. You're just being consistently bad passing the ball. And I personally just can't forgive 10 for 32. That's just so bad. It's so terrible. So I'm sorry, Anthony Richardson. Like, you're a freak, dude. You're great. Getting out of the pocket and getting yards that way. I mean, you had 6 rushing attempts for 45 yards. That's you're a dual threat quarterback, but that's if you can learn how to pass the ball. But I don't know. 10 for 32. That's all I gotta say.
It's atrocious.
It's bad.
Yep.
And then my second overreaction is the Chiefs will finish undefeated. So I looked up their schedule. Right now, they got the Bucks next week, which we know what they have. Yep. I guess what they don't have.
Right.
And Mike Evans and Chris Godwin now. And then they play Denver. They're at Buffalo.
Those are 3 really tough games.
Yep. At Carolina versus Vegas versus the Chargers, at Cleveland versus Houston, at Pittsburgh, and then they finish the year at Denver. So to me, obviously the toughest one there is at Buffalo.
Yeah,
that's your highlight. That's
and it's funny because Buffalo always seems to beat them in the regular season.
Yeah,
but then can never win it when it matters most.
Yeah, and it's always been odd. But
I think they
have a real shot here. If they pass that Buffalo game, I think they have a real shot.
Read the last couple games off, like the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Versus Houston, at Pittsburgh, and at Denver.
That's brutal.
That is a tough stretch.
That's a tough 3-game stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that's an overreaction just because number one, it's not like it happens every day,
right?
And number 2, like they're finding ways to win, and credit to them. We talked about it last week.
Yeah,
they just
they haven't blown anyone out. I feel like my recollection this year.
I just think that they're going to get tripped up at one point.
Yeah,
they have too many injuries, too many things going against them. Now, who knows? The DeAndre Hopkins trade could be just the lightning rod that they need. I know he didn't really light the world on fire today, but
right.
I'm never gonna predict a team to go undefeated.
Right. I mean, Travis Kelce got involved today, so that was a huge step in the right direction.
First touchdown of the year.
Yep, first touchdown of the year. One of my fantasy teams needed that one, huh? But it is what it is on that. But yeah, if Travis Kelce could get it along, and maybe if D-Hop kind of distracts the defense a little bit off Travis Kelce and gets him going, I guess it adds a little bit of an element that we're used to seeing at Kansas City rather than them scrounging and finding ways to win a football game. But they definitely had some tough competition today in Vegas.
Yeah. And Vegas is with that team. Everybody has the team that, regardless of records, like you never know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And for KC, that's Vegas.
It's Vegas.
Yep. Every year.
The Raiders.
It makes no sense. But yeah, it was a good game to watch.
Perfect.
All right. Power rankings. So I got a bunch of shakeups in mind this week just because I want to say 2 of the 5 teams that I had lost last week. Yeah, Vikings and Ravens both lost. So they're gone. They're out of my top.
Got them out of here.
So there's two spots open. So I'll kick us off.
Okay.
I got so top 2 are the same: Chiefs, Lions, 1 and 2. The Bills have jumped all the way up to number 3 for me.
Okay.
I got Buffalo number 3. I got Washington number 4.
Okay.
And I got Green Bay number 5.
We got the same top 4.
Top 4?
Top 4.
Okay.
Well, actually, I have the Chiefs and the Lions switched.
Oh, so you have Lions number 1.
I have Lions number 1.
Okay.
I that was the last second adjustment I made.
Okay.
Because I was like, you know what? I didn't want to put the Lions at first initially because like this is a curse. As soon as I take the Chiefs off the number 1 power rankings, whoever I put first loses. Then I'm forced to put the Chiefs up there. But I mean, Detroit they're just on a steamroll right now. They just dismantled the Titans today. What, they put 50 points? Isn't that like their second time this year to do that?
Second in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Detroit's just rolling right now. Kansas City, obviously they have a tough time with Vegas, but there's definitely questions around Kansas City like I had last year, but obviously they overcame those. Buffalo at 3, Commanders at 4, then I have the Broncos at 5. I put the Broncos at 5. I wasn't really sold on anyone being 5 on here, and I was looking through all the records.
I struggled with the last one as well.
Yeah, but so to me, I just went with the team that I felt like I needed to shout out the most.
Yeah,
and that was Denver right this week.
Okay.
They're just they're figuring it out.
Yeah, they're a fun team.
Yep.
All right. So we will jump into Fantasy Bolo, something that caught our eye that we need to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of touched on this last week, so it might be a little bit repetitive, but it's for a different reason. So I wrote down the Cleveland Browns.
Oh.
More specifically, Jake Ferguson.
I think
like
he
a double dip for me, dude.
Yeah, I think he recovered.
Okay, good. My tight end fumbles, and then the guy I'm playing his defense recovers. Oh, that'd be horrible. Anyways, so we talked about potential implications of Amari Cooper getting traded and what that could mean for the weapons around him.
Yeah.
But for me, I think today just really showcased how absolutely atrocious Deshaun Watson was.
Yeah.
And what having a competent not even a good quarterback, a competent quarterback in Jameis Winston can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read out some stat lines from their receiving weapons today.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yep.
So we already talked about where is he? Cedric Tillman, 7 catches, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Moore, 8 catches, 85 yards.
Ooh.
Jerry Jeudy, 5 catches, 79 yards. And David Njoku, their big tight end, 5 for 61 and a touchdown.
It's not bad.
So that's 3 passing touchdowns
really
for Jameis Winston. And I mean, that's like close to 300 yards just between those 4 guys. I don't know what his final stat line was, but the point is, like, the Browns, I think, could be not what we expected them to be, but maybe a closer version of the dynamic offense. I mean, they put up 29 points today.
Yeah.
They haven't even sniffed that the first 7 weeks of the season with Deshaun Watson. So I think that these 4 guys in particular, I mean, you factor in now Nick Chubb adding, obviously coming back, he's going to start, get warmed up, get revamped up. But the Browns offense could all of a sudden be something to look at and something to consider for fantasy implications. I mean, a guy you're playing today put in Cedric Tillman.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of Cedric Tillman until his games today. So credit to whoever the freak you were playing.
Yeah, that's what a 14-team league does to you.
Yeah.
Well, you scrounge up and you find gems, and all of a sudden you play them every week.
He found a gem for sure.
Absolutely.
So I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on moving forward. Those 4 guys.
Yeah, that's something we didn't really touch upon is the Browns earlier, but that I feel like Jameis Winston and Nick Chubb both bring a breath of fresh air to that team.
Jameis Winston is an absolute character.
He's a riot.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
He's hilarious. He's a little kooky. I think he's a little nut job, but he's something.
He's got personality.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Sure. That's for sure.
But yeah, that honestly, I don't want to say they're back.
No, stop. Stop. What do they have? 2 wins?
They got 2 wins now.
Okay.
But they're back.
Okay. Yeah.
You never know.
Okay.
Well, moving on to mine.
You never know.
Oh, you never know. I got Bo Nix. So
Okay.
Bo Nix right now, I think he's available in like 70% of leagues right now.
Okay.
But he's scored 20 plus points in 3 of his last 4 games. And the one game that he didn't was against the Saints, and that's because he didn't need to.
Right.
They just gave it to Javonte Williams the entire time. So Bo Nix right now is flourishing under Sean Payton. He's finally figuring it out. He went 28 for 37 today, 284 yards, 3 TDs, and then he had a rushing touchdown on top of that. So that gives him 4 rushing touchdowns throughout the year. So that's half a rushing touchdown per game.
Yep.
On average. So he's a dual threat quarterback. He's in a system that he's starting to flourish in. To me, he's someone that you can, if you're struggling with your quarterback play, like a Patrick Mahomes, because he hasn't been putting the
we
numbers.
haven't even really talked. We've let him off easy.
Yeah, absolutely. If you drafted a quarterback high that's just not producing right now, Bo Nix is the guy to grab off the waiver wire and insert him into your lineup.
What are the chances that he's available in our 14-team league?
Probably not, because I think I have him.
Oh, you!
I'm pretty sure I started him. He got me like 29 points.
Nobody's available.
Nobody
available.
is available. You have to think 10 weeks into the future in that league. I'll tell you that right now. You have to predict injuries in that league. Okay.
I think the Water Boys probably the only one.
The Water Boys. Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
I like it.
Perfect.
So we are going to wrap up with our picks, and we're adding a little wrinkle.
Mm-hmm.
Courtesy of Jeffrey over here. So we're gonna continue with our lock and our upset, but we're also gonna add in a third game every week, and we're gonna both pick that game. So it's gonna be the same game. We're gonna basically just dub it, game of the week, and we're both gonna pick it and see what happens.
Right.
Sound good?
Sound good to me.
All right. So I'll kick us off. So I sucked last week. I went 0-2. Who were my picks? I picked the Vikings over the Rams as my lock, and the Bears over the Commanders as my upset.
You lost on a Hail Mary.
Yeah, Bears almost pulled it off for me, so I can't be too upset with them. But
right,
0-2, 7-9 overall, and you went 2-0. Remind us who you picked last week.
I picked the Lions over the Titans, who won pretty handily.
Yep.
And then I had the Cardinals over the Dolphins as my
Nice.
upset. And so last second field goal.
I like it.
Yep.
All right. So 7-9 for me, 9-7 for Jeff. So my lock this week, and I'm going to try not to just become unhinged here really quick, is the Texans over the Jets. The fact that this is a 1-point spread in either way, I actually saw it on ESPN Bet as a Jets -1, which floored me. Absolutely floored me. Whoever does the lines at ESPN Bet should be fired because the fact that they had the Jets favored is just absolutely ridiculous to me. I don't even want to say their name. And then you had it as on, I think, DraftKings as Texans -1. Either way, the Texans should be favored by like 10.
They should be favored by a lot.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So this is a no-brainer to me. Thursday Night Football, the Jets are a dumpster fire. They're horrible.
Where are they playing?
In New York.
In
That's
New York?
the only thing I think is why they're, it's a short week that the
Right.
Texans have to go. They have to travel, I think, at least 2 time zones, potentially 1 or 2 time zones. So that's always difficult. But the Jets can't even get a play in without a delay of game. They wasted all 3 of their timeouts today in the first quarter because they couldn't snap the ball. So they scored with like 4 minutes left in the game to go up by 5.
Okay.
They were going to go for 2 to go up by 7. They got to delay a game.
They got delaying.
And then they still went for it. They still went for the 2-point conversion.
Like the 7?
Yes. And shocker, they didn't get it. They can't even it's the simplest thing of football. It's hiking the ball within the allotted time. They can't do it. They're horrible. So how the hell are they going to beat the Texans? They're not going to beat the Texans. There's a lock, okay? Write it in Sharpie, permanent marker. The Texans over the Jets.
Etch it in stone.
That's my lock. It's ridiculous.
All
right.
I'm crying.
So,
that was funny.
I mean, what are we talking about? -1.
-1.
Are you kidding me?
Oh boy,
they're horrible. That's all I can say. They're just so bad.
I'll give you one opportunity to change your lock.
No, I'm doubling down. I almost took them as my lock and my upset this week. It's a no-brainer.
Oh, that's funny.
My upset is the Browns over the Chargers.
Browns over the Chargers.
Browns over the Chargers. Chargers are favored by 2.5.
Browns are back, baby.
If the Browns can continue their offense. Chargers had kind of a snoozer, no offense.
Yeah.
Today over the Saints.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But Chargers going to Cleveland. I feel like every single time the Chargers have ever played in Cleveland, they've lost that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Just something about going there for them. And then for me, the game of the week, I'm taking the Lions over the Packers.
Yeah, the game of the week, we have the Lions and Packers. We kind of come into agreement about what the game of the week is, and then we just split. Obviously, sometimes we'll share a pick, but sometimes we'll differentiate. But I agree with you. I'll start off with my game of the week too. Lions. I'll agree with you on that one. For my own personal picks, I got the lock. Commanders over the Giants. That's gonna be a tough game. Yeah, it makes me a little nervous because this is like a classic trap game. You're coming off a game-winning Hail Mary against a tough opponent,
divisional opponent.
With Chicago, and then you're playing a divisional opponent in the Giants. And the Giants, we talked about it on the show. They're not as bad as their record states, and you never know what version of Danny Dimes you're going to get.
Right.
So it's definitely a trap game, in my opinion. But we'll see where the Commanders are after next week. As for my upset, I got the Pats over the Titans.
Okay.
Right now, the Titans are favored by 2.5. Jared Mayo called his team soft?
Last week.
After last week. So I think that's definitely put a little charge into the Patriots. How much of a charge, I'm not sure, but I think it should carry over into next week with the Titans, because Titans are just not it this year.
Yeah, something we didn't even talk about today is Drake May getting hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know if they officially called it a concussion. They said a head injury, so I'm assuming that's kind of implied. Went out in the second quarter with a head injury, and then Jacoby Brissett finished he actually came out at the start of the third quarter,
right,
and finished the game. So I'll be curious to see what happens with Drake May. Obviously, he had even though they didn't win, they had a great first 2 games, or he did. So yeah, I excuse me, I definitely agree that especially if he's able to come back, then I like that matchup for the Pats.
Perfect.
All right.
Awesome.
That will do it. I think I kept it pretty much in check.
Pretty tame for
the most part.
Absolutely. I didn't even know that the Jets lost this week.
Oh my God. So there's a dude. So there's a guy that works for ESPN New York. His name's, shout out Don LaGreca. Okay. He works for ESPN. He's on the Michael K show every day, 3 to 7. Love it. But they literally have something on the whiteboard in the office that says days since Don's last rant, and you never know what it's going to be, right? And he just goes on an absolute rant. He's been known to break equipment, just start screaming. He just spits everywhere. I had visions of that as I'm sitting here writing down my notes and thinking how I need to not do that, because let's be real, people probably don't care about the Jets, and I don't want to talk about them because they don't deserve to be talked about. But I very easily could break, I could just explode on the Jets and their issues right now. Mike Greenberg said it so good today. He look up his tweet. He just said it, and it's the most disappointing Jets team. They're the most disappointing team in the NFL. They're the most disappointing Jets team they've had in the last 30, 40 years. It's just horrible. I'm so done with them, and I just want to be done.
Right. Yeah. I agree with the Saints from the Saints perspective. I mean, obviously there's some injuries there, but it is what it is. I came in with not so high expectations or hopes, to be honest with you. But after a 2-0 beginning,
they really did you dirty.
Yeah, they
really teased you big time.
It was a big tease. So Oh, it is what it is. I didn't buy into it.
I did.
I know you did.
I did. Big time.
You did.
I mean, I picked the Saints to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah, they were my 7th seed.
Ooh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Well, go Yankees.
Go Yankees.
All right.
Go Yankees.
We'll see you next week.
Yep. Later, guys.
Thanks for listening to What Did They Know podcast. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media outlets to see future episode details. And don't forget to send in any questions or topics that you want to see the guys discuss in their weekly episodes to come.